So my favorite part of the evening, and one of them, is when I get to heap praise upon an individual who can't do naught but listen. So Jack Foley is an icon, almost. He's a landmark on the literary land. He's a central locus on the literary landscape of the Bay Area. The poetry is wide-ranging. The guy has a brain. He has brain power in there. You see some of the things that even someone like myself, who is very familiar with poetry, will go, I don't understand this. But when you look into it, the language is deep. The intellectual power is there, and there's a lot going on, even in something very, very short. A perspective that carries one to many places. Even in some single pieces, you will travel. And that's one of my favorite side effects of poetry, when you read someone's poems and you travel through history, through time, space, and then you go to those memories and you go, don't want to go there. But it takes you there. He's a tour guide. Sangye is someone who is new to me, but I heard some of her poetry on YouTube, and a wonderful, wonderful voice, heartfelt. If you want to know, if you know what the word heartfelt means, this is a person who has a heartfelt voice, a champion of perspectives, a lovely, lovely, lovely individual whose heart and mind sing, and you will hear her sing before your very eyes here. Both of them together are a powerful team. I'm so glad they're here. With some arrangements to get them here, and they had chaos tonight. An extra dose of chaos. Why not? But now we are at this phase of the evening, and I'm so glad to bring them both up here. Give them a really nice warm welcome.
If yours doesn't work, I've got a mic.
Okay, yeah, I can.
Okay.
Let me just frame you up here.
All right.
And then we're gonna.
You're going to be framed.
Ja, jawohl. Ach, du lieber meine guten Abend. Huh?
All right. Can you get that up a little higher?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Try it now.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, just get a little closer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
there.
need to get close. Okay.
Cheek
All right, thank you. We're really happy to be here on Yom Kippur, for heaven's sake. Atonement, at-one-ment, all of that stuff. We'll see about my guilt in these poems. The first one, and this is probably something I should feel guilty about, I turned an adjective into a noun. It's called the conflictory. You
Are a conflictory,
a sum that is no sum.
contradictory,
Angles fallen,
angels draft set,
lead nowhere.
summations radical,
Departures, fantasies,
clear-headed perceptions,
the real, the unreal.
the believe, the have,
Believe, the love, the
feared conflictory,
open to the wind, the rain.
the budding of opinion,
Lust, failure, success, magniloquence.
stuttering inability to speak, facing the vast, the microscopic,
Male, female, child, adult.
feeling the pain of something that happened in 1966,
Aging, transcending.
age, violent, peaceful,
A conflictory
in
bound.
a skin that fails,
As age comes on, a
book that is full
of nothing but Derrida, demand, and deconstruction. All in a package. You call you. This is called Latin, Burning. Has some autobiography. I ought to, actually, Christian Pansik is older than I am even, and would probably appreciate all of this stuff. Christian, this is for you. Latin, Burning. Latin is the lesson we were taught. Antiquity still living in a dead language. I grew up with it as the language of the church, made sense of it with the help of a little book, a missal, as the priest intoned. Later, I learned Caesar, Virgil, the long vowels rising up in the deep cadence of the line, Arma verumque cano.
The labor it was to found Rome, all that history embodied in sounds. Dido mad and loving, the soldier turning away from passion.
Carthago delenda est.
Rome founded Rome, the home of the Catholic Church.
The home of a history I had no part of, but which somehow defined me.
The arguments of theologians, the Church triumphant, heavenly city, earthly city.
Passion, triumph, perhaps the last gasp of spirit. Carthago delenda est.
How do we become most blessed?
How are we sanctified in this scramble?
Is renunciation the answer?
Forgive me, Father. Mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. My sins are unknown except to Thee. My tears, my history of ill.
In the last hour, give me strength to let it all go.
To let me die like a language unspoken for centuries.
Like Latin, like the Rome of Virgil.
Like Carthage, like soon perhaps the Catholic Church.
In the vast ruin of historical circumstance.
And the whirl of time. When sleep comes.
Sleep comes.
If it comes.
Until.
When sleep comes.
Until.
Dream.
As we live our lives.
Or dreamless.
Day by day.
Gain new strength.
That follows us.
When sleep comes.
Abyss.
Set mind free.
Ocean of darkness.
If it comes.
Drift.
Drift.
Set mind free.
Ocean of darkness.
When sleep comes.
Abyss.
Gain new strength.
That follows us.
Or dreamless.
Day by day.
Dream.
As we live our lives.
When sleep comes.
Until.
If it comes.
Until.
When sleep comes.
Sleep comes. Burning. Nothing burns properly in the world.
No fire is tamed or ready to serve.
Burning is vanishing.
No song burns properly in the mind, in the memory.
Nothing in any fireplace but springs forth into the room as smoke or heat to cause damage.
No cigarette burns properly.
No pipe can be smoked so as to confer advantage.
Though hearts burn, none burn properly.
All cause pain, vanishing.
All danger lies here.
Even in the stove,
that cooks the broth,
the match,
that lights the dark.
the fever.
And this is burning.
Burning. Thank you. Many of you have seen the wonderful Jean Cocteau film, Le Sang d'un Poète, The Blood of a Poet. This poem of mine is called La Sangye d'un Poète. It's about her. La Sangye d'un Poète moves around the house like a vivid shadow, wearing red, wearing green, wearing blue, colors of light, as she moves, wearing a shine that catches me and speaks. A vivid, beautiful shadow, sends notes, smiles, comments, agrees, disagrees, tells me I'm handsome, that I look good in blue, oh, flattery that I may believe, asks me to rub salve on her back to relieve the pain she sometimes feels as she moves, as she lives and listens, in my gaze and out of it, a shade more vivid than the furniture that watches her and beckons. I think of Paramasiva. When he opens his eyes, the world manifests. When he closes them, the world retracts to its latent state within him. He makes the impossible possible, as does she, as she moves, as she talks in this deep, wild house of Shiva. I asked Sangye to read it, so it's not her fault. She didn't write it to be read in public, but I asked her to do it because I thought it was a wonderful poem about a fictional person.
Oh, shush. Okay. This was my very first poem, so bear with me. Just some of the reasons why I love you from A to Z. A is because you're adorable, affectionate, authentic, and the apple of my eye. B is for all the books you've written and your deep, abiding love for the written word. C is because you're captivating and you care for me. D is for your depth, your daring do, your delicious lips and decadent kisses. E is for your enthusiasm and your empathy. F is for your fertile mind, fearless stage performances, and fantastically skilled fingers. G is for your goodness, your generosity, your gorgeous eyes, gregarious personality, and because I'm so glad I met you. H is for your heart, I hold it in my heart. I is for your intellect and your myriad interests. J is for your jack talk, need I say more? K is for your kisses, I just can't get enough, your keenness and your kindness. L is for the love we share. M is for your mischievous streak, your motivation, and because, thankfully, you're mine. N is because you're a natty dresser, you give great nookie, you're noteworthy, and you nourish me. O is for your observant nature, your optimism, your openness, and because you're an original. P is for your passion, your playfulness, your poetry, and because you're precious and, dare I say, priceless to me. Q is because you're quick-witted, quirky, and you've become quintessential to my happiness. R is for your romantic nature and your rarity. S is for your smile and because you're sexy, sensitive, and sweet. T is because I suspected that I was in trouble the day I met you. I was terrified to fall in love with you, and you show me how terrific you are each and every day. U is because you're unusual in the best possible sense of the word. V is because you're my one and only Valentine, and I love you very, very much. W is because you're wonderful, and I wished for you before I knew you existed. X is for all our X-rated moments, how I love them. Y is for your art, your musicality, and your rhythm. Y is for you, my baby. Z is because you're zippy, zingy, and zealous. I'm not a poet as far as I know, but I do love you, honey. Happy Father's Day.
That was great. Wasn't it? Yeah. That's a lot better than my first poem.
Straight from the heart.
Straight from the heart. Yes, exactly. I actually just recently, today, wrote some lines. Love means to knit a story around someone that protects them and nourishes them. I wrote this to celebrate Sangye's birthday. That was for Father's Day. This was for her birthday. And her name is Land, by the way. Not Lang, but Land. So it comes out, Sangye means Buddha in Tibetan. So Sangye Land comes out Buddha Land.
Oh.
Interestingly. Anyway, this is for Sangye's birthday. There's a long lake and trees surrounding it in a womb-like formation with marvelous shifting clouds in the deep blue sky. I know this lake doesn't exist, but I think of it as where you were born, in Oregon, a womb place to which your mind returns and to which now my mind has access. I think of you emerging from it with a magical name, Sangye, defining you. There are birds in this forest, but they are silent as your consciousness arises and comes into the world. None of this is real. It's story, something I made up to fill my mind with what I cannot know, your origin. Were there wings that you discarded at the lake and a quiet, bearded boatman to deliver you to this world? Was there another you before this one? What was your history? What was the little girl who looked around her at a world which at times would be cruel to her? What lies were you told? What truths? What is it that makes you sometimes shudder? Is it the memory of that lake, that forest, those marvelous abandoned wings? Did the boatman betray you? None of this is true, and yet truth enters into it, and a magic world that radiates delight and fear and love. What were they? Those clouds, those trees, that lake, those wings diaphanous. Could they protect the living soul that arose in magic and carried with it traces of that nowhere that magic land through all your loved, tumultuous, passionate, fiery days. For some people. The other readings I did here were with my late wife Adele, who died 2 years ago now. And I have a book, Grief Songs, that details my seeing her through her death and so on and so forth. I wanted to read one poem from Grief Songs. It's a poem about Adele's death. And it has a French phrase, le néant des choses humaines, means the nothingness of human affairs. I translated it in the poem. It's from Rousseau. What you discover in such a situation is what Rousseau called le néant des choses humaines, the nothingness of human affairs. Adele's concerns, the laundry, our finances, her plants, dinner, people at AC Transit, people in the local community, poetry people, whether I parked the car close enough to the curb, her Visa card, the Toyota, her haiku, the goldfish, me, the light in the leaves as she passed by in the morning, credit cards, J.R.R. Tolkien, Octavia Butler, Miss Fisher's murder mysteries, the egrets at Lake Merritt, the homeless on her way to AC Transit, to whom she gave money and boxes of raisins, her son and daughter-in-law, hundreds of others in a complex web of caring, all disappeared, poof, in a few moments on the afternoon of June 25th, 2016, in a Kaiser hospital room, when she fainted in septic shock and her dear heart stopped. Suddenly, all of that was gone, as if it never existed. Le néant des choses humaines. I remember it, some of it, even most of it, but for her, it's a spider web someone brushed off a window. Gone. It is this that we make poems and stories and beautiful lies to avoid. This sudden view, when a long-loved, long-known, long-accepted person dies, and we see it deep and clear. All right, Sangye's coming back for this one. Thank you, dear. It's called The Angelic Wind.
I thought we were doing red next.
Sorry. The Angelic Wind. We get in the habit of saying certain things
Presenting ourselves in certain ways.
until the angelic wind blows that apart.
We love certain people, think of them with kindness and affection.
Until the angelic wind blows that apart.
Is death an angelic wind?
We might as well call it a diabolical wind.
It doesn't matter. It's a force that blows something apart, something we thought solid and immutable.
Until the diabolical angelic
The angelic, diabolical,
insists that we were wrong. We exist.
not as rocks or trees or garages,
We are waves of the sea.
shape-shifting at the will of something we will never know.
At one moment, one thing.
At another, and telling ourselves
Until the angelic wind reminds us
that we are constant,
that we are unities.
not the leaves,
Not the scraps of wind-blown paper.
not the flower petals.
That we are. It's a somewhat noisy poem. I was thinking of the murders in Florida. It's called Rant After Florida. How do we mourn for children? How do we mourn for these defenseless ones? How do we cry out against a future cut off at the root? We call it senseless and look for reasons. Blame the victims, blame the authorities, blame everything except the true cause, which lies all around you as plain as day, in every television show, in every news story, in every comic book, in every political statement, in every action hero, in every piece of parental guidance, in every song, in rap, hip-hop, pop, old movies, all university syllabi, books, talk shows, in every assassination attempt in the National Rifle Association, in any political party, left, right, or center, in every attempt to better the situation, in capitalism, in socialism, in radical, in conservative, in the banks, in auto dealerships, in my mother's complaints about my behavior, in prisons, in freedom, in the latest movement about love, in Christianity, in Judaism, in Islam, in Buddhism, in the KKK, in the Young Men's Christian Association, in the collision of all these things, in the consciousness of a young man paralyzed in his need for action and self-assertion, and who can see no possibility of action other than the annihilation of everything and everyone he sees, so that a new heaven and a new earth may be born, so that the new may be announced and the old may perish, and himself the sacrificial instrument, the Christ, through which these long desired things may be accomplished.
So that a new heaven and a new earth may be born, so that the new may be announced and the old may perish, and himself the sacrificial instrument, the Christ, through which these long desired things may be accomplished.
How do we mourn the culture, the values, the world that makes all this a possibility? I will close with a poem that's titled by 1 year less than Chris John's age. It's called At 78, and has a quote at the beginning from Robert Lowell. Is getting well ever an art, or art a way of getting well? At 78, you begin to believe in magic.
Hold your hands out.
Not in the crude sense, not that you believe it's true,
Look at them.
or that the heaven stories are waiting for you.
They have been yours for so many years.
Not that rabbits will appear from hats,
Consider your eyes.
though rabbits do appear from hats,
What companions they've been
as well as from other rabbits.
over all this time.
It's that everything seems bizarre
And
and,
your legs propelling you
despite theories of causation,
from one strange place
unreasonable. You begin to feel a strangeness
to another,
at the heart of things,
at the heart of the universe.
working its way into everything you have experienced.
Is a quality we recognize with age.
You may call this strangeness magic,
The young need to believe
a category in Western culture distinct from science and religion.
in the comforting rationality of things.
It interrupts
The old know or believe they know.
everything we know
It's nothing but tarot.
and makes it seem
And the hanged man, the moon, the death card
unlikely, unfathomable, may show at any time. Thank you.
Thank you. You have books, don't you? Yes. He has books, ladies and gentlemen.